So the Peel District School Board in Ontario is getting rid of Shakespeare because they say he's white. And many students in the class are visible minorities, so obviously they can't read Shakespeare. Because we have literature apartheid or something? You're only allowed to read people from your own race, I guess? Probably only those from your own sex and maybe your own sexual orientation, and on and on. It's absurd. The other day I read an author who was left-handed. Sorry for the cultural appropriation, I'm a righty. Hey, isn't the point of literature, especially fiction, to experience something new outside your own life? Isn't the difference between literature and reading some crap on Twitter or Facebook that literature is generally great and enduring, momentous, maybe even eternal? Other than the Bible itself, is there any work of literature that is grander or more universal than Shakespeare? If you like Shakespeare, you're obviously racist. Here, get a load of this quote from Pauline Graywall. She's the, I want to get this right, the Associate Director of Instructional and Equity Support Services for Peel School Board. That title is 8 words long. That's almost a short story in itself, a story of bureaucratic insanity. Do you doubt there are many more paper-pushing bureaucrats like that than actual teachers at the Peel School Board? I bet the ratio is, 2 to 1 or 5 to 1 bureaucrats to teachers. I mean, Graywall is the Associate Director of Equity Support Services. That means there's probably a Senior Director and maybe other Associate Directors and Assistant Directors too. So of course they have to come up with crap like this to justify their existence. Here she is quoted in the Globe and Mail, and I quote, "There's probably a small minority who still believe that there's a literary canon that we need to hold on to. I think it's because it is the way we've always been taught. But if we are focusing on equity and inclusion as a school board, the work around inclusion must be visible at the student desk," unquote. Yeah, I mean, we've always taught the times tables, and some old-fashioned people want to hold on to those because we've always done it that way, those dead white Greeks and their math. But the new math is much more fair, much less racist. It's crazy. I think there's a hatred for anything old, anything traditional, anything that works. That's why the left invented the new math. That's why they abandoned spelling tests. It's ideological. It's also easier for the teachers. If you don't have spelling tests, you don't have to teach spelling, and you actually don't even have to know spelling yourself, do you? But don't pick on the Peel School Board. The Globe article quotes, get this, the acting supervisor for curriculum and resources support in Edmonton School Board. That's a 7-word title. And they also quote someone from Halifax School Board too. They're all doing it, getting rid of Shakespeare, because more and more of their students are minorities. So they're not teaching literature. And that's not even their goal anymore, to teach literature. Their goal is to teach racial identity politics by practicing racial identity politics. They're teaching young, optimistic, excited, equal Canadians not to think of themselves as equal, not to think of themselves as being part of our country and our traditions together, including the unequaled legacy of Shakespeare, the greatest writer in all of English history, maybe the greatest writer of any language. These teachers are telling minorities that they cannot be part of Shakespeare's tradition. They're actually denying students, especially minority students, access to the classics of Western civilization. Shakespeare, by the way, had black heroes like Othello and Jewish heroes like Shylock in The Merchant of Venice. Yes, they were flawed. Othello was jealous. Shylock was greedy. But they were utterly human too. That's what Shakespeare did. He marshaled the English language like no one had done before or has done since. But he marshaled it to the purpose of exploring the human condition, what it means to be human. Universal issues like love and hate and ambition and jealousy. Macbeth was about vaulting ambition that overleaps itself. Sorry, that's not just a Scottish thing. That's a human thing. Lady Macbeth was a wife who had plans for her husband that exceeded his own. That's not a Scottish thing. That's a human thing. Here's Al Pacino playing Shylock in a movie version of Merchant of Venice. If you know the story, in the play, Shylock loaned money to a businessman who couldn't repay it. And that businessman had promised a pound of his own flesh as a guarantee for the loan. Shylock is furious when the debt is reneged, and he's humiliated by the town, including anti-Semitic insults against him by Christians. He's the bad guy for wanting to collect his horrific 1 pound of flesh financial security. But look at this. This was written more than 400 years ago. You tell me if this isn't the most passionate defense of a Jew in Shakespeare's time, and maybe of our time too.
He hath disgraced me and hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, heated mine enemies, and what's his reason? I am a Jew. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew hands? Organs? Dimensions? Senses? Affections? Passions? Fed with the same food? Hurt with the same weapons? Subject to the same diseases? Healed by the same means? Warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge?
A Jew is a human like anyone else, just like a Christian is. To write that in the year 1600, that's downright progressive. And frankly, leftists could use that lesson again today, don't you think? Here's another Shakespeare play, set in Venice too. This is a scene from a play called Othello, the Moor of Venice. As you can see, he's black and Muslim, as Moors were. And here he is married to a white woman. And this is 400 years ago. Maybe you thought the TV show Modern Family was really edgy. Imagine a black Muslim hero marrying a white Christian woman in a play 400 years ago. Othello was flawed, of course he was. He was tragic, but he was a hero. Do you not think the story that plumbed jealousy and paranoia is universal, not just for black people, but white people can learn from it too? Can you tell me another play, by the way, with a black lead character in the history of literature that is as powerful or ubiquitous or universal as Othello? Yet these know-nothings would ban Othello because it was written by a white man. I think I know why they're banning Shakespeare. Yeah, it is because of their pathological race-based identity politics. Yes, of course it is. It's because of their despise for our Western traditions, our Western heritage of literature and culture. Yes, of course that. But I think it's also because teaching Shakespeare is hard. You have to go slow to teach every word, to explain some archaic language, to understand difficult questions. What did he mean? What does a word mean? What does a character mean? It's hard. It's hard for students to learn, but it is so fulfilling, as anything hard is when you master it. Spelling is hard. Times tables are hard. Geography is hard. History is hard, which is why that has all been abolished in our schools. Not just because it's hard to teach to kids, but because teachers themselves find it hard. Because any fool who thinks banishing Shakespeare is acceptable in schools is someone who clearly does not understand Shakespeare's role in our language, our culture, our thinking, does not understand the hundreds of phrases in everyday life, hundreds of themes and archetypes that come from Shakespeare, almost as many as come from the Bible. As good luck would have it, Shakespeare invented that phrase. We never said it before. Bated breath, the be-all and end-all, brave new world. I'm going alphabetically through some of the hundreds of phrases he invented. Dead as a doornail, Shakespeare invented that. Eaten me out of house and home. Forever and a day, Shakespeare. Even the phrase, for goodness sake, he came up with it. The phrase, full circle. The phrase, good riddance. Heart of gold. In my heart of hearts. In my mind's eye. Kill with kindness. Knock, knock, who's there? That's Shakespeare. Shakespeare coined that. He made up words. Laughing stock. Love is blind. Play fast and loose. He just plain old coined new words from scratch too. He invented the word addiction. Amazement. He invented the word bedroom. Buzzer. Eyeball. Gloomy. Fashionable. Shabby. He invented the word gossip. He invented the word puking. He invented the word unreal. 1,700 words he invented. Oh, but hey, throw them out and study some crap from Oprah's Book of the Week Club because the author of the week is part of some identity group. No. It's hard to learn Shakespeare. If you're a school bureaucrat too stupid to understand the importance of Shakespeare in our literature and our culture, you're probably too stupid to teach Shakespeare too. That's the real reason these school boards are banning him. For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant. We don't talk a lot about Shakespeare here at the Rebel, but we talk a lot about political correctness. If you want more videos like this, click like and subscribe.